our ramblings. I'm Mark Schettenhelm, and you know me here and Instagram and everywhere else as Motor City Car Culture. And I'm joined here with Mike. Introduce yourself.
I'm Mike Sadler, Speed and Shine TV, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and we had 2 seasons on our local TV show, so we have those you
Hmm.
can go watch on our YouTube channel. And if you could see out this window I'm looking at, it marks in Michigan too. It is like Ice Station Zebra, right?
It's down in the 20s and it's kind of icy. I went ice skating last night. For those who follow me, I post those videos, post them last. I'm going to go probably this afternoon and then probably tomorrow. And Mike, you're from your garage right now. It's too
Yeah,
cold in my garage today. Maybe in the summer I can do it from my garage. I'm down in my basement little bunker here, my home office.
I can understand that. I had to come out at 8 o'clock and turn the electric heater on to 75, but I'm still in a hoodie. You could still feel the cold radiating from the concrete, right?
Uh,
So, yeah, I
anyway,
keep it at 50. Yeah.
let's since it's winter, let's talk about things which are signs of spring. And to me, a sign of spring is the Chrome and Ice show coming up next weekend in Flint. And It's it is a sign of spring. It's like spring training for baseball. It's a car show, it's inside, but I'm like, yes, winter's going to end. And I think it's significant for us because we had met I think the Woodward Dream Cruise. It was where we finally met, and then
Right.
we saw each other the second time up at Chrome and Ice last year, and then after that, we really hooked up and started doing things like this and starting our guild.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the catalyst for it all, right? I
Yeah.
mean, we all have the same kind of, although we appreciate different eras of cars and different
Yes.
types of cars, we all have that love, which is, it's cool to be around people who like the same things or similar things. And you're
Well,
right. Chrome and Ice is really cool because it's at a hockey rink, right? I mean, the cars are on the rink, you're walking on
it's like
wood, which
the
is kind of,
Door Financial Center, I think, in
yeah,
Flint.
yeah.
And it was like $10, I think. And it's funny because I was messaging you like, I don't know, because I'm into like kind of pre-war cars. I'm also into German cars. And it's like, I don't know, is this show going to be of interest? And you went, hey, hello, chicken lover in James. Um,
Yeah, same.
so it wasn't my kind of thing, but you said, no, it's a good show. So I went there and I actually liked it. And that's what's interesting hanging out with you is you show me cars that I wouldn't have normally like and appreciate because I kind of like all cars. And I think you're the same way. Haven't I kind of turned
Yeah.
you on to some of the pre-war cars?
Yeah, I've become interested in pre-war cars from that, especially our trip to the Gilmore when we
Yeah.
did that. Right, that was good.
Which we've got to come up. We're trying to plan maybe doing that again in March, but we haven't figured out the weekend. So we'll do
Right.
some
Well, we
content
tried
from
to.
there.
The Hoods Up is the best one, best
Yeah,
weekend for
but
that.
they
Right.
haven't announced that yet. So
Do we like NASCAR? Yeah, we like NASCAR. I
we
I was an
do.
Indy fan for a long time, but NASCAR, it's racing, it's cars. How could you not love it, right?
Yeah, I'm more of a, of course, traditionalist. I like when NASCARs were real cars, but I still like it. I appreciate it and what they're doing. Yeah. Um,
Yeah. So
so Oh, you want to
go
get back
ahead.
to Chrome and Ice? I mean, so
Chrome
it's
and Ice,
got
the Back to the Bricks put that on. And the Back to the
yes,
Bricks is a great organization. They put on I think a car show the same weekend as Woodward too, up in Flint.
yes. Now I've been to that, and that's a tough one because I mean, you got the Woodward Dream Cruise, right? In the same weekend in Flint, they have like, I think 1,000 cars in downtown Flint because they have like brick streets, so that's why it's back to the bricks, and it's like the biggest show. It's amazing, and so they do this as a fundraiser, don't they? Like the Friday night, they have a opening thing, and then
They do.
They
Mhm.
have the show on Saturday and Sunday.
I've never
Um,
been. And that's because Woodward is my favorite day of the year. So it's
yeah,
hard for me to drag myself away from the one thing I
I
look forward to.
I kind of do Woodward. Well, I live right off of Woodward, so I can cruise Woodward anytime. I the Friday night I go to, and then Saturday I didn't this year, but last year I went to back to the Bricks. But this show, it's got there was a Model T. I,
Mhm.
there's it seems like the arena area you mentioned, like a hockey arena, is where they put like maybe the top cars are lined
Right.
up there. Like, yeah, they they seem to organize them there, and that's like the show place. But then there's other parts where they have just a bunch of cars. In what I noticed in being going to back to the Bricks is I saw some of the same cars again, and also some of the same cars at the Sloan show.
Right.
Sloan has the two shows, the one in like June, and then they have the Golden Memories. So it's like old favorites again. There's a Jeep I keep seeing. There's
Mhm.
a VW Beetle I see, and I see him at Chrome and Ice. It's just, and there's a lot of people who come to that Chrome and Ice. I
There is, and
was,
it's a good show, and you got the other room with cars, and of course they sell a lot of stuff. There's a lot of vendors, and there's some bikes, there's some motorcycles there too.
yeah. Well, the vendors, right? Some of them like sell insurance, and some. And there's always the like window people. I never get that. Uh, but there's a lot of people sell like car parts, and yeah. So there's some interesting vendors to check out.
Mhm.
Um, and it just feels, again, it is like spring training for us. If you're into cars, your car
Yeah,
is, well, your car is in the garage and it's not going out today.
that's
Um,
true.
but you come to that show and it's good. And so definitely, I'm going to plan on going maybe the Saturday. I don't know. I'll figure out, but maybe I can meet you up there and we can
Mhm.
go. And then we also have our Michigan Car Social Media Guild, and maybe some of the other members can meet us up there and we can do some content. I can imagine us doing some live streams and also recording some other things to produce. And that's kind of a different show than Autorama, which is, I think, the weekend after. And that
Yeah.
I had never gone to because I thought Autorama is not my thing. And you encouraged me to go, and I liked it. And we
Yeah,
met up there.
there's so much at the Autorama. You have the grade A competition, where those cars are brought in there. They can't be photographed before. They have to be revealed there. And Dave Kingdig had the open air, I think is what he calls that Corvette that he created. And there's always beautiful cars there. And then you have that lower level where it's a little more
Mhm.
relaxed, a little bit more rockabilly, and it's kind of cool down there. And you got Shaggy, who's a famous artist out of Detroit, and his group out there, and Johnny Jalopy shows up from Florida, and yeah, I mean, you really need a whole day for Autorama.
You
You really do.
well, that lower level kind of reminded me then of Chroma Vite in Ice. Just a more
Yeah,
relaxed show with regular cars. And I really liked that. And I liked going to that show with you because you were introducing me to all these people. It was a custom car world that I wasn't really part of. And,
yeah,
I appreciate the customs and the effort they do and the craftsmanship. I mean, in some sense, I see the work they do and I liken it to what car makers did in the 20s and 30s with the custom coach makers,
right.
where it's like you just buy the frame and we do a body and it's to your vision. And I see that similar. So I appreciate what they do. I just really don't like people carving up classical cars.
Well, I hear that all the time, and people I listen to them comment as I'm filming and stuff, and I can hear people say, "Oh, they ruined that car. They did this and did
Hmm.
that." My feeling is they work hard, they pay for it, and it makes them happy. Just let them just do you, right? Just do whatever you want to that car. It's yours. You paid for it.
Well, and a lot of times the cars that they do it to were never going to be restored like they were anyway. They were in really bad shape. The engine might have been gone and the body was bad, and then also some people make them into a hot rod like people would have done in like the 40s or 50s. And so that's history too. So, yeah, I don't know. I struggle with it, but I still appreciate the craftsmanship. Autorama, I mean, some of the cars there, last year they had the Batmobiles there. I mean, that was amazing.
Yeah,
Um,
that was, and I'm most proud of that video.
mhm.
My son was there. He was a videographer on that. We got to film all those back cars, and we had a cosplay Batman doing the interview with
And
us.
Batgirl.
That's cool. Yeah, and Batgirl. Yeah, that's fun. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that when you get to see all the Batmobiles. Of course, I'm a fan of, the George Barris original
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Batmobile.
Yeah.
And last
That's
year,
the
I think we
Batmobile.
saw 10 of them. We saw 10 total. It's the most I've seen in a year of Batmobile replicas. It's crazy.
The video I did on that showing just like scanning them, I had over 2 million views on Instagram on that.
Yeah, Batman's popular worldwide. It's a phenomenon,
And
right?
they had the 50, well, it's a replica of the 50 millionth GM, which was a Chevy, and it was all like gold plated. That was pretty impressive. I don't know what they've announced for this year. Have you anything? I'll have to
Nope.
check and maybe we can post something on it. But I am looking forward to that. I probably will
So,
go.
so that's the lineup right now. When you're in Michigan, you hit the Chrome and Ice, and
Mm-hmm.
then you got the Autorama, and then something that I'm actually going to be a vendor at as well is the Fort Wayne Rod and Custom Show, which is like the last weekend of March, and they just brought that back last year. It was not around for like 40 years, and they brought it back, and it was successful the first year. I was surprised, and it's even bigger this year. So if you get
Right.
a chance, that's a good one.
You went to that one last year, and where's that held?
Um, like the convention center or something? Or
Okay.
do I have a sign that says it? It doesn't say where it is on the poster. But yeah, it's a big convention center, and I was talking to the organizer, and um, he had the lower level and this upper level. Now he's got the whole thing because they were having Ship Shawana on the road last year, so they couldn't get the other buildings. But they expect between 10,000 to 15,000 people in the Friday night, Saturday, Sunday to go through there, and it's a good show. And I do branch out to Indiana, Ohio, and travel because what you were saying about content and seeing the same vehicles all the time, as a content creator, and you're realizing this real fast too, it's hard to find new cars unless you travel because the same people go to the same shows and move their cars, and you realize, oh, I've already filmed this beautiful 57 Chevy before. I can't, I don't want people to think that's all I'm doing is filming the same cars all the time.
Yeah, and that's like with the stuff in Flint. I keep seeing them, but my challenge is I do a lot of the museums. So I do the Paquette, the Pontiac
Right.
Transportation Museum, the Canadian Transportation Museum. Those are the same cars. So creativity, it's the creativity of trying to look at them in a different way. And so, yeah, you may do that
Good
55
point.
Chevy, but you look at details on it, like the fins or the hubcaps, or it's trying to find something compelling and different about it becomes the
Right.
challenge.
Yeah,
Um,
it is. But getting out really helps. Getting out and seeing different things.
the other thing this time of year, and I haven't done it yet, is some of the swap meets are
Oh,
also
yeah.
good to go to. So I do those, and then today I'm missing it. Is Stalls. The first Saturday is another one. The first Saturday of the month, Stalls over on the east side, they are open, and then every Tuesday. So I
And
should,
it's just so you can get in and look at the cars.
yeah,
That's a
yeah.
museum I haven't been to yet. I haven't
Oh
been to Stars.
man, you got to
Oh,
go.
and they don't call it a museum, they call it the collection.
Collection. Mm-hmm. It's a
Yeah, I I,
collection.
I met two of the people from there at the Concours d'Elegance and was talking about the thing, and I said museum, and boy, did they correct me.
No, it
They
is not a
really,
museum. It's a collection. They have about 100 cars on display in that building, but they have other buildings, and there's about 300 in total in the collection, and they're picking them up all the time. And they're building on like a conference center in that
ah,
area. But I think they'll still keep the same display thing. That one is you can do a donation if you want when you come, but there's no entry charge, and it's open the first Saturday. I like hitting up in the winter. It gets a little crowded in the summer. More car clubs come, but I don't know. I should have
mm,
gone today, but maybe in March I'll go. It's well, we ought to go sometime. That's really a great thing to do in the winter to see the cars. They feature a lot of cars from like the 20s and 30s, um, high end cars. So definitely worth it. The other thing in the winter are the auctions. And
yeah.
I'm just a little bit jealous over you just came back from an auction.
Yeah, the Barrett Jackson, Scottsdale, Arizona. I had went to the October one. I was supposed to go January last year, but that's when my wife was diagnosed with cancer, and I
Hmm.
canceled it, to be at the appointments and stuff with her. She's doing well. Um,
Good.
so I went in October. October was good, right? It was my first time there. But boy, January, completely different. If you're a car enthusiast, it's worth the trip to go, and there's so much there, so many cars there. I didn't see them all, and I was there Wednesday through Saturday, right, walking around looking at them, and they sell things, and you see all kinds of cars you wouldn't see otherwise, and some of them are really the cream of the crop. And there's movie stars walking around if you're into that. And what I found interesting is there's people who are sitting outside, drinking, eating, having a good time. They could care less. There's an auction going on, right? They see the cars go by in the staging lanes, but they're looking the other way. It's really just a big party, but with cars, which is always cool.
Huh. And yeah, and those auctions, I like the variety of cars there.
Mhm.
Often you think of them as, okay, it's the multi-million dollar cars and high end,
Right.
but there is kind of a lower end too, of cars, but they're all of good quality.
Well, you get what you really have to check them out.
Yeah.
It, my two friends, Tom and Adam, were both bidders, and there was cars they were interested in, and we went around and crawled underneath them and look at them, and we talked at them. Unfortunately, out of one last October, and then Tom was really interested in a Corvette, and in the description it says it was rotisserie restored. And we go over and we look at it, you kind of think, okay, really? And when we crawled underneath it, we were literally shocked at what we saw, right? And that vet went for, like 80, $90,000, right? And somebody probably thinks they got a really good deal, and maybe they did, and maybe they don't care. But when you're buying a car that expensive, up to like 150,000 or more, you really need to be on site, look it over, check it over. And I have some experience with that. A friend of mine bought 5 cars from Barrett Jackson back in 2017, I think it was, and he got them home, and they looked really good and stuff, but they all had a little bit of problems, and
Yeah.
he got them fixed, and he enjoyed them for a little while, and then he passed them on. I did notice though, I saw 3 cars that I saw sell at Auburn, Indiana, at the Worldwide
Hmm.
Auctioneers auction. Um, and they were being sold there at Barrett Jackson. So it was just a short time ago. That was in the Labor Day, because they have the big Labor Day
Right.
auction,
Do
that
you
3
think
day
they were
event.
like trying to flip them then?
Yeah, it was the one that was most memorable. It's like a 53 or 54 Corvette, blue, and it has a smoked bubble top, which is rare. You don't see those, right? So it looks like a bubble top is clear. And they had changed a few things, like the wheels and stuff. It was the same car. It's interesting, and it makes me wonder sometimes. I see all these cars moving at auction stuff. I just wonder how many of them just completely keep changing hands from auction to auction just to make a few bucks, or do they really go
I don't
home and
like
get
it.
enjoyed?
I got it. I don't like it. I always wanted to own
Could be,
one. I owned one. Yeah. I yeah.
could be.
Maybe we
But it's
just
a great,
aren't
it's a
in that money class to really understand that.
the really good buy. If I would have been a bidder, it's not in my budget, but there was a '70 Mustang Boss. Um, and what they had done is took the power plant and suspension and stuff off a Ford GT, a 2006 Ford GT, and put that underneath this Mustang. Absolutely fantastic work. The engine's in the back, the gas tanks under the hood in the front. Anyways,
Wow.
just looks spectacular. Everybody was oohing and ahhing, and what an awesome thing. We were talking the crowd around looking at it. We figured, four or $500,000. It went for 150. I think it comes out to like 163 or 165 with the commission. Way more work went into that
Oh yeah.
and you see that once in a while. You see a car that there was a couple like 33 Fords and stuff, street rods that $150,000 or something went into that, and they sell for 80 grand, right? Or 75,000 or something.
You
And
well, we were talking about custom cars, and I appreciate the craftsmanship, but you just you do it for love, and it's what you want, but you can never expect to get money out of that.
no,
It's not going to happen. And a lot of times when you customize it for yourself,
true.
and you've excluded almost everybody else on the planet. So, you how do you customize it for yourself but still make it marketable to get other people? And that's where maybe selling at an auction really is the best place, because maybe you're going to find someone who wants that same thing.
Yeah, yeah, and I think sometimes people get into the bidding, because they're there and they see the car come up and they
Mhm.
see it stall and it's not selling much, so they thought, I'm just gonna get in and get on it, buy this, it's a deal, and then, maybe move it along or something else. There's one thing I can tell you, and I hate to say this out loud, but if it's a yellow car, it's I just never gonna buy a yellow car. I just it's a personal preference with me. I've seen some really beautiful Mustangs and Camaros and
What
Challengers,
about
yellow and black. I just can't.
a yellow VW Bug? They look good in yellow. Or a classic Cadillac from the 30s. So
I'd
there's a
rather have
few.
orange. I'd rather have orange or blue,
I
or
could,
I don't know. It's a personal preference. And
yeah,
I
I
and I
get
go
it.
out of my way now though to film yellow cars because I don't want to, be that guy that don't film yellow cars because he doesn't like yellow. But anyways, one trend that I think is going to become popular now that I've been fortunate enough to be introduced to some people who have private garages who let me film their content, and I did one last fall. Had a lot of tribute cars in it. He has the real Monkey Mobile, right? The
Yeah.
real one, but the rest of them were all tributes that him and his friend created and stuff, and they're really good. But there are a lot of tributes out there, and there was a at the Bear Jackson, they sold an Ecto One Ghostbusters replica,
Yeah. Right.
297,000. They had a lot of other replicas like the Beverly Hillbillies, the Munsters, and all that. I think I'm seeing a trend that could start where people are going to start creating reproduction TV movie cars and selling them like purposely. Like that's the only reason they're doing it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like the Back to the Future DeLoreans. You
Oh,
want
there's
one,
so many
someone
of them.
could go and
Yeah.
make one, and you got it.
Mhm.
Um, I've heard that maybe it's like the Batmobile people, they have a pledge never to have two of them at a show. Like,
Really?
yeah,
Mm. Wow.
the original Batmobile, those people have them like they know each other and like, okay, we can't have two of them. So there's the
Yeah.
illusion that it's the one.
At this
I
Bear Jackson, they sold number three. Now, remember, years ago, they sold the number one Batmobile for 4.3 or $4
mhm.
million. Most exciting thing, I watched on TV, those two guys, and then I think they flipped a coin at the end to see who
Yeah.
got it. But I think this one went for like four something. And I really felt when it was going through the auction it was going to bring a lot more money than that. I really think they thought that it was going to pull, a million or two, but it was rough. I'll be honest. I looked at it after seeing Woody's Batmobile over in Detroit that he has in his collection tribute, and a few others, and that guy that is at Woodward that cruises and he helps.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He volunteers for the D-Man cruise for the handicap people at Woodward. His is very nice too. That I understand it's number 3 and all that, but I thought it was rough. I thought it looked in rough shape, really, for a Batmobile.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, yeah, you want a tribute, but if you really want to drive it, you want to show it, it's got to be nice.
Yeah, and I think most guys, and me, Adam, and Tom were talking about this. If you ever hit the lotto jackpot, that's probably a car you're going to buy just because you can, right? Who wouldn't want a Batmobile? Maybe you didn't, but I couldn't.
I would worry about maintaining the atomic batteries. That would
Sure.
be difficult to source.
And Chrome and Ice tends to have some TV cars there as well. At least they did the year before. Did they have any last year? No, they didn't have TV cars. What was that display upstairs?
They did have they had the Bluesmobile.
Yeah, that was probably Woody's.
Or was that was that Chrome? No, that was Autorama, I think, had the Bluesmobile. Yeah, and that was a local reproduction.
We are very lucky, though, in Michigan. It is cold. There's no car shows going on. But with these car events and the amount of museums we have, you really can space it out. I mean, you could plan out every weekend on a Saturday, you could visit a different car museum in a different event and get you through spring. There's enough to do. Yeah, which is good. We need that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm even through the winter, every weekend I'm going to a museum or a car show.
Yeah, I have more time now. I don't. The Maverick's done, so I really at this time I don't have things to do anymore in the winter.
Well, I definitely have to get you to Stalls, and you still haven't been to the Pontiac Museum.
Nope, got to go there too. Now they've only been in existence for a little while, right?
Right. They opened up last summer, so they're still relatively new. But it's a lot of changes, and there's a phase 1 that's open, and the phase 2 should be by April. Will be the next part. It's an old elementary school that they own, and they're renovating it in phases. So it's
how do they support? How's that museum supported? Does Pontiac support them, or are they a public?
Private? No, it's just donations. Yeah.
That's tough. That's a tough thing to do.
Yeah, and then grants. They always you can sometimes get grants, and I know the city of Pontiac's supportive, but I don't think supplying financial help. But yeah, you just anytime you're at one of these museums, you keep looking for any grant you can get. Corporate sponsorships, they're always looking for those, and events. Now, I don't think at Pontiac they've started doing it. I know, like the Paquette plant, um, they do a lot of events, which are great because it brings people in, they experience the cars and the history, and they give them tours, and that also helps support the museum. And there's 2 event spaces there. The Canadian Transportation Museum, they do a lot of events. They do. They have like escape room and murder mysteries and all kinds of things, although they have a historic village. The Pontiac Museum, I think, has availability for events as well. So, and they're doing a lecture series. Next Thursday, there's a lecture. I'm going to try to go to that on Pontiac transportation history. That'll be the first one. Terry's given that one. Just like the Gilmore does that. They have a lecture series on Saturdays. So again, another thing to do in the winter is some of these lecture series.
Yeah, Gilmore does not, to me, to appear to be struggling financially.
No.
I think they get good donors. I know they're building, what do they call it? The new building, it's, I don't want to say hot rods. I think it's muscle car. They're going to put a muscle car building or display together over at the back side there at the back.
Well, yeah. So they've at the Gilmore, the Model A Museum is extending itself. They're building on the back. There's like an educational area, there's a restoration area, and more exhibit space. And that will be open like this summer. Like it's there, and now they're kind of finishing it off. I haven't been. It's closed. It was closed in January. I think they're reopening now that it's February. And then in the main building at the Gilmore, they took up all that tile, which I thought looked pretty good. I
It
don't
did.
know.
It was brownish, but yeah, it looked good. I
I,
wonder what they're going to put down. Wood floor or something, or
I don't know. I've
Hmm,
I've been watching and they've shown all them, taking up all the tile, but I haven't seen what they're putting down.
hmm, interesting.
So we'll see. Yeah, and they move that building. So anyway, a lot
Yeah,
going on
and
there.
they change up the display in that first room, which is kind of nice. And
Yes,
just
there's
like
several times a year.
The Peterson Museum, their first floor, it looks like they changed out what they display quite a bit because they have the vault downstairs with a bunch of cars, and so they're always changing. So if you go back, just like the Gilmore, you'll go there in the winter, visit, and some of the buildings are closed because they're not heated or otherwise. But then when you go back for the Red Barn Spectacular, that's everything's open and cars everywhere. And
I Right, and that's my tip on museums is don't think you've seen it because it changes. I know like at the
right.
Pontiac Museum, they've changed the cars they have in there in the first room, the phase one, and I keep going back every couple weeks and it's like I see something new. Like, oh, you moved that car. Oh, you now have this display. They're always changing, and then soon they'll have that second area open. The Paquette Museum, they'll occasionally get a new exhibit. So I'll just go in and I'll say, what's new? And they'll go, oh, well, we added this. They're always changing, and sometimes it's small things like a new signage, but
Mm,
it gives more information. So there's always don't think, oh, I've seen the museum, it's exactly the same. You can always see something else, or it's the details. Back to what I said about looking at the same car at a show. Yeah,
right,
you've
right.
seen it, but did you really see it? Did you really look at some of the other details? And museums are like that. Like, okay, you've got the basic feel for it. Now start looking at the other displays.
True, true. That's probably where our next discussion should go for our next episode is probably car shows because there's a lot to unpack.
Right. We've talked about that. Not only shows we like, we did a little of it. We didn't really, we can get into shows we like, but also how to attend a car show was, I
Yeah,
think,
I
another
think
one we wanted to have a episode on.
yeah,
Of,
we'll probably go down the rabbit hole. We need to save that for the next time.
but anyway, we have yes several different episodes. So coming up, we have some that will be themes with just our experience and how to about the shows and that, and then I think we'll have ones like this on what we're up to,
Yeah,
what shows we've been to, a back, you follow us, me, Motor City Car Culture, you Speed and Shine, you follow us in the different formats, but um you see the end product through our podcast here. You get to see the behind the scenes, our opinions, how we did it, how we found out about the show, a little more background.
yeah. There's a lot of history. It takes a lot to become a creator, put yourself on camera, get out in front of it, and it can be frustrating at times. You'll create something and you think, wow, people are gonna enjoy this. Nobody does, and then you put something out that you think, well, I'm almost out of content, I don't have a show, I'm gonna put this out, and it takes off and you have no clue as why, right? You just don't know what people are gonna like.
No, you really I do the same thing where I'm like, okay, this is going to be popular. Sometimes I'm right, like okay, people are going to like this. Um, Other times things you love and just gets nothing. But
Yeah.
you kind of do it for yourself and you hope other people like it.
Yeah, like the Batman we were talking about at Autorama. It's like 10 minutes of Batmobiles. I thought this is gonna be big. It wasn't.
No,
Probably just some Batman people liked it. I mean, they loved the short. We both did really good with our shorts
my
or
short,
reels.
yeah.
Right, yeah. Yeah, those do really good. And it's interesting too when I film longer than you do around the car. I
Mm-hmm.
go around the car.
Mm-hmm.
And so mine typically are about 40 seconds to 50 to a minute. Anyways, and we can go in and look and see how long people really watch it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's funny that some videos, it's like 3 seconds.
3 seconds.
But I'm not going to stop filming around the whole car because the 10 people who watch the whole thing and enjoy it
They
is
deserve
why.
it.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's why I do it. I'm not, and I know everybody keeps saying you need to go just do 17 seconds. That's what people want. I'm just not going to do that. I'm just going to keep showing. It's the artistry, photography in me that says
You
you got
have
to
to do
show
the
this
car
whole thing.
justice.
Yeah,
And
right,
you really got to show the car. And sometimes you can feel like, oh, you didn't show this, you didn't show that. And so I try to show the car.
right.
And
And and my followers and subscribers are pretty good at some positive feedback as well as negative. And negative
mhm,
feedback's okay too because it drives
yeah,
up views. But they told me, hey, linger a little bit on the interior. Don't go so fast because they want to. So I've learned to slow down a little bit, right? So feedback's good.
yeah. Anyway,
All right,
we don't want to take too much into our
we're
next
down to
episodes,
two
right?
people. The highest I saw in my count was we had 23 people watching
No.
for a few minutes. That's not bad. So,
Okay. All right. So I guess we'll end it for today. Look for some more episodes coming up. We have some ideas. We're going to be doing them from different locations. Um, and then I think we'll probably do some more of these more spontaneous looks at shows and reviews of things. So,
oh, my son who's watching, he's probably that one person. He said we had 28 at one time. So that's pretty good. So,
okay.
top was 28. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it'll grow. Now, what we'll do is I think I can post this and so people can watch it on a repeat, I guess is what you call it,
Yep.
live
Hmm.
on tape, right? So
Okay.
we'll do that. All
All right.
right.
So I guess that's it for today. Um, our first podcast, and I'm sure they'll get even better.
I hope so. And if you can, get out to a car museum.
Definitely. Car Museum, Car Show. Follow us. We'll post and give you an idea of where we're going to head and what's out there. And if you're at a show and you see us, say hi.
Yeah, come up and yeah, let us know you watch. When I'm at Barrett Jackson and somebody comes up and says I'm a follower and shows me their phone, there is nothing better than that. To know
Mm-hmm.
that somebody across the country is watching what's going on here in Michigan, right?
Yep. And that's what we do is we bring, well, Michigan and sometimes, I've done videos from Germany. You've done the
Yeah.
auctions. We do other things, but most of our stuff is in Michigan. So, all right.
All right.
Well, thanks. I hope you enjoy the
Well,
content and follow us and come back for more. Bye.
keep your car clean.